Welcome to Business Prowess with Rafael and Dr. Andrea. Our show will bring you the best insights, ideas, and inspiration from successful entrepreneurs and CEOs in the business world. Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from the best and stay ahead of the game. Sifu Rafael is the founder of 5 unique shows. He's a fitness professional, solutions expert, executive coach, and head instructor at Max Martial Arts and Fitness in New York. Dr. Andrea Adams-Miller is an award-winning international keynote speaker, best-selling author, and CEO of the Red Carpet Connection Publicity, Publishing, and Talent Agency, and CEO of IgniteYourRelationship.com. Known as the Dream Maker, she makes visionaries' dreams come true, bigger than they ever dared to desire.
Dr. Andrea, good Friday morning. How are you today?
I'm hunky-dory, and I guess I'm super bright because I'm in Utah and it's super sunny.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And thank you so much for always showing up and being exceptional. One of the things that has always, and I love when you say hunky-dory. It just goes to show your shine. And no matter what's going on, I know you're having a couple of issues going on in your personal life. You don't let anything put you down, and I love that about you. You're truly an exceptional example of what we all should strive for, to have that energy of love in our lives, right?
Thank you. Thank you for that. It's been it's been an adventure, and it's going to be a very short adventure in the whole scope of my life. So it's kind of funny. It's been 5 weeks in. They didn't do enough of a culture or whatever biopsy on the uterus, so I'm having another uterine biopsy under anesthetic next week. So we're going for 4th surgery, and then the big surgery for the colon is on October 10th, which they may be including the uterus as well. And then my plan is that I'll be 100% cancer-free. So that'll mean in 8 weeks, I got a diagnosis and I'm free. So there you go. So I just considered an 8-week inconvenience with a whole bunch of crazy stories. And then there you go.
Truly,
so
truly
fine.
Just the fact that you're laughing and you have this incredible smile. I love that about you. So consider all the things that do happen in our lives. We can take it a different way. We can think about it a different way, but you don't do that for sure. You look at everything with a smile. I mean, yes, it could be a tough time, but you exemplify, and I can't say it enough, how we should look at life, because every second counts, right?
Absolutely. Then that's, it's interesting because some people are surprised that, because I multitask a lot, and they don't get how my world works. So like I'm here at an ASEA event. Here, I'll just show you the product. I'm at it because this is a product that I take and that I like all my clients to use, because I talk about brain health and, neuroscience and all of that. I want people to be giving their bodies the things that they need so that their brain will function and fire at the top rate, And so these are things that I've been incorporating into my world. And, today it was funny. They're like, my one friend, she's like, but we have a thing and it starts at 8:30. And I said, and I have a thing that starts at 9. and she's like, and I said, not every event, I said, there are some, once in a blue moon, I'll pull away from a show because I'm at an event. I said, but not always, this one I'm committed. Sifu and I co-host the show, and, I'm going to show up for the show. I don't like to miss, I promise that I'll be here and I want to be here. So, unless we've worked it out way ahead of time, I show up. And so I think that's interesting for people because they don't realize that how many things you can do in a weekend. So, for example, Sifu, last Wednesday, I prepared and packed because I'm not used to traveling 12 days again. I used to be on the road for 20 days before, no problem. But I'm not used to it now. So I spent all day Wednesday trying to remember where my stuff was. And then Thursday, pack and fly and getting to an event, was at an event for 2 days, then flew, went to another event for 2 days, and then traveled and had my own event, and then went and visited a friend, and then came to another event. And then I'm leaving this event to go to another event, might pop in a TED Talk event, and then I have another event in Vegas. And people are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, you make it happen. You just make it happen.
You
So
do make it happen. And when you think, when you consider all that you're doing, all the different events. I know that once we finish this show, you're going to go to a different event. The event that your friend was talking about that started at 8:30, and and I love the fact that you said, I made a commitment, because some people make a commitment, but they don't stick to it. They don't follow through, and they expect everybody to carry the weight, but not you. You not only do you show up, but you show up vibrant. And I think that when we consider any event that we go to, when we show up, we should show up early. We should show up ready to engage. We should show up to give, right? Because you do that at everything that I've seen you in person, and you over deliver in anything that you do. And why is it that you do these things?
Well, part of it, it's funny when you think about the over delivery. The over delivery really came from being a people pleaser at a young age, and wanting to feel like I was important or valued. With my dad and the business partners that I used to attract, and I was constantly looking for their attention. Where I've with the NLP ability, to let all that emotional stuff go, and now I do it because I want to, and I have no expectation that they're going to do anything back. So before in my life, I can honestly say there was an expectation that I would be loved or cared about or respected. And now I do it because I want to do it. And if they appreciate it, well, that was a bonus. I wasn't looking for it. It's my nature to be constantly be checking. I want to check on people. What do people need? What do people want? And it's the first time in my life I've ever let people take care of me. I'm actually staying with a friend here at this event, and it was funny. She offered to go get me breakfast this morning, and I'm like, and I said, okay. And I said, but I want to make sure, are you okay with doing this? And and not later, I don't want to hear like, oh, I had to wait on Andrea. And she's like, really, I'm not like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot I'm living in my future. I'm not living in my past, because I used to attract people like that. And now my friends and the people who stayed with me along the way, and the new people I've attracted to my life, don't behave that way. They're very gregarious, very giving, and they care about people, and that is their nature. They're very much nurturers and want to help others. In fact, it's funny to be at a event like this where some people are in it because they can make really good money with this product, because it's amazing, and they make their living off of it. But I've only met 2 people ever. Well, actually, that's not true. 1 in this company ever, because I was introduced to this company, oh gosh, maybe 5, 6 years ago. And the person that I met was so about the money that I'm like, no interest. Even though I knew about the product and wanted the product, I didn't want to work with him. So I was no interest. And then when I was reintroduced to it, I'm reintroduced to it with these older people and this doctor and a nurse and all these health people. Yes, they do earn money from it, but they care about people, and they're all about how people can feel better and do better. So it's been amazing. What a shift to be in that world. And then you're the same way. Obviously, you and I get along because we take care of each other. We give back, so if people could have wonderful relationships like that, it would just be fantastic.
It's interesting when you said that you don't want to connect with that person because they were all about the money. And I just want to share with everyone, and you and I were talking a little earlier, how you're a teacher. you're an instructor, you're a trainer, and I want to share with you what we're doing in New York. And you said, well,
Please.
obviously that's what I do, right? I train people. So let's
That's
take a
fine.
look.
Okay, cool.
In a world where words shape destinies and connections forge futures, this November 22nd to the 24th, Speaking Prowess brings you the ultimate hands-on workshop. We have a lineup of some of the most influential communication experts in the industry. These are the voices that will guide you on a journey to enhance your ability to connect, influence, and succeed. Sifu Rafael, master instructor and founder of Speaking Prowess, blends communication and leadership to help you reach your full potential. Richard Walsh brings his strategic and tactical expertise to deliver rapid, lasting results for your business. Dr. Oliver T. Reed, the international multi-best-selling author and motivational speaker, known as the writing coach, will help you craft your messages with precision. Jose Escobar, a nationally recognized speaker and leader, will guide you in mastering personal development and leadership skills. This is more than just an event. It's a game-changing, skill-building experience. Walk away with communication prowess that transforms your personal and professional life. Speaking Prowess, where communication becomes your superpower. Reserve your seat now.
So that's what's happening in November, and we were talking about how you would probably come to it and help people, because I was telling you I do not want to necessarily teach, because people sometimes when they learn something they don't walk away with it, and I told you I want to embed it into them so that it becomes part of who they are, and you were like, that's exactly what you do, right?
Yeah, it was funny because when I taught, my students loved me. I always said my kids, and I'm one of my kids at the time. I don't know how old I was, maybe 30 or 35, 36 or something. And one of my students was 72 at the time, and yet I called her my kid. She's one of my kids. And I taught at two different colleges, and this idea of being able to serve them and teach them. And it was funny because some of my students, they'd be like, gosh, all we do is come in your class and have fun, and we don't even do anything or learn anything. And I'm like, okay. And then it was funny because like after a couple days, I would be asking them questions or things, and they'd be like, well, wait a minute, I learned that blah, blah, blah. And I was talking to someone that, and I'm like, oh, well, where did you pick that up that? And they're like, well, when we were playing that game or doing that, having that conversation the other day, or that powwow in class. And I'm like, And I said, so you realize that you're learning things? And they're like, yeah. So it was funny. Their criticism began like, oh my gosh, I learned in this class without being boring, without reading the boring way, without having to recite or take tests. And I told them, I call it accidental learning. They think it's an accident. It's very purposeful in my mind, but by telling stories and by doing exercises and playing games and literally having to do things like bringing in crayons and, bringing in marshmallows and, spaghetti sticks, where they made things together as teams. They thought they thought I was replicating kindergarten, and in a way I was, but the intelligence comes at a different level. There is a way of learning where, to me, it's an integration of adapting people's learning styles and getting my introverted, engineering type kids and students to be able to have that space where they get to watch and observe and then have that opportunity to speak. Because then now it's, I would lay out their turn or their situation. It just makes learning fun. And I love that, because I think I'm the only teacher that I know of, I'm sure there's others in the world, that the students would come up to me and thank me for flunking them.
That's interesting.
And
Thank you
they
for
knew,
flanking.
yeah, they knew that they didn't do the work. It was never a blame. It was never, I always made them be the ones that were responsible from day one, that it was their responsibility to take care of everything that they needed to do and to make amends for things and to make things happen. And they would get it. It often took them a really difficult situation of having an F, but they would get an F and then retake my class. Because then they realized, oh my gosh, if I just showed up, paid attention, turned in the work, participated, I can pass Andrea's class.
Yeah, and probably get an A because no, they got the second chance. When you consider,
yeah,
when you consider, I also believe I call it edutainment, right? Because we're educating, we're entertaining, because people for some reason grasp something if it was fun. I recall there was when I was in high school, there was a particular teacher. When I looked around, most of the kids were sleeping. And I was like, boring teacher. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like toothpick so I can stay up. But the information was great, but it was so dull and boring that no one really, he didn't capture anybody. It's a few of us who were like, we need to learn this. We need to know this information. But then there was other teachers who were like you, who were just amazing. They made it fun. They made it challenging. And when you can incorporate the edutainment, as I call it, right? It's education, but the entertainment part of it, where you can walk away and go, I know this because now it's embedded. And that's what I was saying. That's what our event is going to be like, to embed the education into a person so that they can use it anytime, anywhere, without even fully having to think about it, because now it's part of who they are. And I think that's a beautiful
well, that's what you do with your martial arts. It becomes an instinct of, they have that skill set of knowing that they can protect themselves and protect others, and do it in such a way that where you're minimizing any injury or violence or anything, often being able to redirect, a move with a redirection or a quick push out of the way. Martial arts is just so amazing. I honestly think that if people had that ability, if it almost became part of recess. I'm surprised it's not. Kids don't learn that martial arts is a sport, and I think it would be a very valid thing, actually more than kickball, personally. I got hurt
I
in
agree.
kickball.
Oh, there you go. Well, I think that what happens is the school system sees it because it has not been portrayed as the positive that it could be, because we still have a lot of teachers that are teaching martial arts on, you must hurt, you must break, you must do these things, instead of, these are used to empower you, to make you better, to strengthen you. And so in the US and in even other countries, people see it as a violent thing, because martial arts was created for war. It was created for not children, it was created for adults. But some of us have realized that the aspects of martial arts, that when we can teach someone to do something and be empowered by it, it gives them that vibrancy, that moment of, wow, I can do this. Now, if there are many schools in the East, in Asia, that use martial arts in their recreation during school hours. So instead of having recess, they go and they do martial arts. It's part of their everyday activity. I mean, I love the videos that I've seen where the kids are cleaning up the school. They don't have janitors, they have the kids cleaning, because who's making the mess anyway? It's the kids. But if they took care of their environment, wow. But we think, we send our kids to school. Why should they clean the school? Why should they dust or mop or sweep or anything like that? That's not teaching them anything. But
Well,
it truly is teaching them so much if we actually send our kids so that they would take care of their environment.
Well, I think we're still teaching them. We're just teaching them things that, not teaching them responsibility.
Right.
That's somebody
Yes.
else's. It was funny. I saw a meme the other day. My daughter's a seventh grade teacher, so we tend to
Mm,
look at like teacher memes and teacher TikToks and stuff. Where like there's a thing called board teachers. Oh, she's
mm.
hysterical. She reads notes. She gathers notes that teachers send in that people say things like, I got a note from a parent saying that my son hasn't learned how to wipe his nose correctly. Can you teach him how to blow his nose? And she's
Oh
like,
my
no,
goodness.
no, you can teach him how to blow his nose. Like,
Be a parent.
yeah, do that yourself. Or like, I don't have time to pack my kid lunch. Can you just, he says you pack your lunch every day. Can you just make him something too? Like,
Oh my gosh.
they're teaching their kids, like to ask other people for things and not be responsible for themselves. It just makes me laugh.
Mm,
But this one meme that it was showing the parents screaming at the teacher saying, why did you give my kid a C? Compared to a picture from, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, where it was the parents with the teacher yelling at the kid, why did you get a C? Why did you
mm.
earn a C? So that idea of earning, like as a teacher, I didn't give you anything. You asked for, and you were responsible for your own grade.
Mhm. Absolutely, I love that. I think that, it's, don't get me wrong, we need kids to go to school, but the lessons that they're learning don't relate to who they're gonna become. So a lot of times kids are learning things that they will never use. I'm sure you learn things in school that you still have never used, not even once. So I think there should be an assessment of the kind of child. If the kind child shows interest in science or math or social studies, that then maybe we can start veering them in that direction. But a kid who's only gonna become a plumber or something like that, maybe they should be like, let's work on how to talk to people so that you can get clients. Let's teach them how to navigate the negotiation skills. So there should, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime, where we're actually assessing each child to see where they would be better for them as an individual. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, let me ask a clarity question. So you mean like finding out what they want to be or what their skill sets in their life? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of kids, they wanna be a fireman, a policeman, and stuff like that. They wanna be a superhero. I mean, I get that part, but truly taking an assessment, see how they behave with others. Do they need to learn certain things? Are they good at certain skills so we can harness those, right? Because if a kid goes, "Yeah, I wanna be an astronaut." Listen, we all wanted to be an astronaut. We all wanted to be a fireman. We all wanted to be a policeman.
Mhm.
And some people do become those things, but that's not what they're being taught in school.
Yeah, so I can see that. So let's say if somebody really wants to be an astronaut, then my answer is always yes, even if they maybe feasibly cannot be because they can go that way. So maybe they may not end up being the astronaut that goes in the space, but maybe they're the astronaut, the engineer who helps with NASA or
Mhm,
something like
mhm,
that. But to constantly be enriching them, like, hey, let's have more fun with your math because when you're an astronaut, you need to know this because you're going to be
mhm,
filling out sky charts and you need to know this, or you're going to have to, let's learn how to fix things like a MacGyver, because if you're in space, you're
right.
not going to have access to call the plumber. You're going to have to figure this out yourself. And these are going to be skills that they want you to look for. Yes. Honestly, my biggest thing now, being, I'm 55, I'm a grandparent, and I see how my daughter is. My oldest daughter has two children, and I'm very proud of the work ethic that she gives them as far as like they have animals at the fair that they do and how they manage the horses and so forth, that these kids know that they have to brush the horse, put them in the stall, feed them, rake the poop, do it. They do all the work. I mean, they're doing all the work with her. I mean, they know how to water and feed and throw and bale hay and do rigorous work. And my grandson, even at 3, knew how to use a blowtorch to help burn off the corn husks off the thing,
Wow.
and he loved it. It was so fun. And last year for Christmas, my husband bought him a welding helmet, so that way he can learn how to weld and do things, because he's interested. He wants to do it. They teach him safety, and how to do things properly. And Mavis and Warren have the ability to do things that some of their peers have no clue or would never be allowed to do. Therefore, they're stunted. These kids don't know how to do things that other people can do, how to think for themselves or work things out. To me, there's just other things. Like, I never learned in school how to balance a checkbook. To this day, well, I don't have a checkbook, so that tells you that. I stopped writing checks when my last check that I wrote, I was 26 years old. And I've not written a check since. So the only time I've needed to write a check was like 3 or 4 times there was something I had to have a check for. So I either had gave somebody the cash and made them write the check, or got a bank check, because I wasn't going to write it. I'm like, I'm never writing a check again. Because to me, that whole idea of balancing a checkbook, yes, I still have to balance things, but they're not, I'm not writing a check, and it's not in a checkbook, it's an account. So somehow I have compartmentalize those as 2 different things, even though it's kind of the same. But I never really learned it really well. And it would have been so easy for them to teach me in school. And thank gosh, I learned how. I had a basic cooking class where I knew how to make simple things and how to pick and clean up after myself, and basic sewing, so that if a button falls off, I know how to put it back on myself. Or if, and then woodworking and welding shop. Did you have those as well?
Unfortunately, no. But listen, here's the funny thing. I own a wood shop. I built custom high-end woodworking stuff, but I never had that in school. I was sitting at a table one time, and we were having dinner, and my fiance's sister was dating a gentleman, and he said he worked at a wood shop. I'm like, that sounds like fun. And I said, I have some free time. I said, do they need anybody? I said, I don't care what I do. I just want to be there. He goes, let me find out. So he comes back. He goes, yeah, they actually need somebody. I said, great. I'll come in. I don't care. I'll sweep the floors. I'll do whatever. I just want to see how to do things, because I've always built stuff, but I didn't know how to do the high-end stuff. So I went to a very, very high-end. They only did super high-end stuff. So after a while, the place was spotless. And the owner's like, this guy, all he does is clean. I said, well, you told me to clean. What do you want me to do? Well, go do this, go do that. So all of a sudden I was being given different tasks to do, and I would complete them. And he's like, wow, great. Okay, now let's get you to do this. Okay, now let's get you to do that. And it was very interesting when all of a sudden, no piece of furniture or woodwork would leave the shop without me inspecting it first. Now he started calling me doctor. It's the first time anybody called me a doctor. So he goes, hey, doc, you got to take a look at this. What do you think? And from somebody who came into sweeping and cleaning to making sure that no piece of anything left the shop without my inspection. And if something was done incorrectly, I would be the one to fix it. So if we went to a facility and somebody had done work, they're like, hey, doc will fix it. And I'll go, what's the problem? And I would go and I would fix things that someone else kind of did. And so that's how I got really skilled at, because I had the desire to do it. And once I left working for other people, and I said, well, I love it. So but I don't advertise my wood shop. I only open it when people see my work and they're like, I want that. I'm like, well, okay, I'll open it for you if you pay me the right amount. And so I am a very, very skilled, but very high priced woodworker. So I only deal with things with wood. Yes, I can do plumbing, I can do electrical, but I only do that for myself. And so the skills that we can hone in is because maybe it's a desire that we have. So we have to see, what is the desire of a human being? What is it that they're lacking? What is it that they could use that we can help them in honing that skill? What is it that really inspires them to even say, I want to do that?
I don't know what they do now. I should ask my grandchildren and
Mm,
see how that is. And I don't know. They may not talk about it in, kindergarten and third grade. But I remember in eighth grade for me, I wanted to be. I still have all that. I have that paperwork somewhere. I don't have a lot of my paperwork. I have a little thin folder. But I remember in eighth grade saying that I wanted three different things. I wanted to be a mom, an archaeologist, or a brain surgeon,
mm,
I remember, and then they told me I couldn't be a mom. That couldn't be my
really?
career choice. I had to remove that. So I removed that, and then I put on there that I wanted to study people and why people joined occults that harmed people.
Mm,
So ironically, those I still care about those things. So I look at archaeology stuff and check out where new digs are all the time.
mm,
That's very interesting to me. And I kind of go back and look at, like the background of who we are and how we show up. So it's a little anthropological as well as archaeological, as far as just, looking and being interested in that. And then here I ended up, my whole life caring about the brain and wondering about the mind and the brain. And so I'm the closest thing I can be without writing a prescription, without getting my medical degree,
mm.
which oddly enough, I'll have I was looking at last night. Like, there's got to be some shortcut to doing that with everything else I've done. How can I get that medical degree and do everything else? Which my family would probably be like, "Oh, you please did not just say that," because they're so tired of my work. I love learning. And then the other
Yeah.
thing is I went into law enforcement, and to this day, and that's why I started studying alternative religion. One of my degrees is in alternative religion, because I wanted to know why people behave the way they did and why certain religions were called a cult and other ones were not. And
Mm,
basically what I learned is through all these religions that I studied, that everybody had a core belief of the same thing. And then they argued about how to show their patronage to that religion, how they practice the love of either God or Jesus or Allah or whoever that is, whatever the name is of the middle,
right.
how they went about doing it is what they argue about.
Mm. It's that's a whole topic that we go. Uh, when you think about religion, I mean, there's been wars waged because of it. There's still wars going on now because of it, and religion is such a deep topic, and it's all based on faith. But when it gets to where people are killing one another because of their faith, or because someone hurts someone because they believe a certain religious aspect, that's something that we need to change. People need to be able to believe what they believe.
Well,
That's my thought.
I, in saying that, it's interesting because that's what I see happening in politics right now is we
Mhm.
have the right to think what we want to think, and yet we're fighting about the fact that people have a right to think what they think because
Uh,
they don't like what the other person says.
mhm.
So since
Exactly.
they're bickering with the other person about what is said, they can't see that the whole fact that you get to complain about them is what you get to do.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
complaining about the other person and then complaining back is both of your rights. So that it's almost oxymoronic.
It really is. Dr. Andrea, thank you so much. And I know you have an event that you're going to be going to. And next week I'm going to be on an event, and it's not like I can get to the hotel because the hotel is not next to the event. Otherwise, I would do it in a hotel like you do.
Yeah.
And so thank you for covering next week. And I know you may be having someone else cover my spot. And then we do have two amazing people coming on and joining you. And also, for our guests who could not make it today, we are going to ask them if maybe, and we'll do that in about a minute, if maybe they want to come back at another time. So thank you again for today, and don't go away. We're going to talk with hopefully our guests will come back. Everybody, thank you so much for being here with us. We look forward to seeing you next time.